Thank you, Cindy. Thanks to all the great community leaders with us today, educators, many people very, very committed. And this particular institution here going just in the first 2 semesters from about 500 students the first semester, 800 the second. You see the kind of growth that's occurring of folks availing themselves to outstanding educational opportunities to increase their economic independence. It is great to be back at St. Louis Community College to talk about expanding access to scholarships and providing equal opportunity for low-income students all across our state, but especially in our major urban areas in St. Louis and Kansas City. President Hess, I thank you and your team for hosting us again today, and I appreciate all the great community leaders, ministers, teachers, parents, and others who have joined with us today. We are very pleased. Like I say, when you're governor of a state and you see, you travel as much as I do the last 25 years, and you see something like this grow up right next to that new high school right across the street. You can remember back 10 or 15 years when it wasn't like this. And we're giving this next generation opportunities that the generation before didn't have. And that's what we want to talk about here today. Now, just last week in my annual State of the State address, I announced a proposal for our state that was both simple and profound. Every hardworking student in Missouri deserves the opportunity to go to college, whether they live in the urban core in St. Louis or Kansas City or down a country road in one of our most rural counties. Since 1997, our A+ Schools program has helped more than 50,000 Missouri students achieve that dream. A+ scholarships are very straightforward. The state will cover the cost of tuition and fees for 2 years at a public community college or technical school for students who show up to school, earn good grades, perform tutoring or mentoring, and stay out of trouble. That means keeping a B average and 95% attendance, performing 50 hours of tutoring or mentoring, and having a clean disciplinary record. I mean, when you think about it, that's a great deal for the students and the state. Missouri students begin a pathway to a debt-free education, and our state has more educated citizens ready to step into the jobs of tomorrow. For Missouri students, especially those from low-income families, these scholarships are truly a dream come true. But for too many of these excellent students, A+ scholarships and the dream of a college education are simply out of reach. Because under current law, students must graduate from a designated A+ high school to be eligible for A+. Now, more than 300 Missouri high schools have earned the A+ designation, including a number of school districts in the county in this area, and St. Louis Public High Schools, as we mentioned before, have begun the application process and will be up for approval in April of this year. But too many high schools in both urban and rural Missouri have not achieved that A+ status and won't for many years to come. You know, as we sit right now, schools like Normandy, Jennings, Maplewood, Richmond Heights are not there yet. And even if they were to start this very minute, the process requires 3 years of work to get to that A+ designation. Well, folks, we don't want to wait 3 years for students that are performing well. We just want to, and quite frankly, for the students that are performing well, it's just not fair. Missouri students should not be penalized for something over which they have zero control. Every Missouri student who is willing to work hard deserves the opportunity to go to college. And for students from low-income families, it's our responsibility to help them achieve that dream. That's why my budget for fiscal year 2012 includes $1 million to put A+ scholarship within reach for low-income students who meet our high standards. We're also providing additional funds for fiscal years 2011 and 2012 to fulfill our obligations to the increasing demand for thousands of more students accessing our community colleges through our A+ program. I mean, we have over 4,000 students over what they were last year coming into the A+ program from across the state. And our budget, my budget, includes a supplemental appropriation to make sure that every kid that started that process, that made that agreement, that fulfilled those qualifications, that the state meets up its end of that bargain also. Now, the investment of to cover the new ones that we want to have across the board will start at covering folks are from families at 250% of federal poverty level, or about $55,000 a year. That investment, if we do that, will allow us to expand access to more than 700 high-achieving students this year, already at schools that aren't covered. Institutions like St. Louis Community College and its counterparts across Missouri provide an exceptional education at an affordable price. A+ opens the doors of these institutions to students who would otherwise miss out on these opportunities. That makes these future workers, quite frankly, our entire state stronger. Now, when it comes to Missouri's economic future, I'll bet on the young minds that walk through the doors right here in all Missouri's community colleges each and every day. But to make this really work, it's not about when they walk into these doors here. It's about 4 years before that, when they walk in the doors of the high schools. When during that process, we can begin to communicate directly to these students that if they're willing to work hard and play by the rules, if they're willing to go to school, if they're willing to help in their community by the time they get their junior and senior year, that we're going to be there to help for them, so when they walk across the street, they walk in here, no tuition, no fees, no excuses. It's time to we're going to do everything we can to make sure that opportunity exists. By investing in these scholarships, we will provide equal opportunity to more Missouri students now, not waiting, and make our state a stronger, more prosperous place for generations to come. It's a bargain we must take. The chance for people to commit their lives to improvement, to commit their high school years, and then on into 2 years being as independent and strong economically as they possibly can. We are lucky to have a community college system that has the ability to accept these students. You know, before you had outstanding facilities like this and others at community colleges, especially in the St. Louis area, have built up all around the community, we wouldn't be in a position to be able to take the additional students that come. But we have that capacity. We have that confidence in the agility of our community colleges. And now if we can provide these tools through the legislative process this year, thousands of more kids across the Show-Me State for years to come will get that opportunity, and my bet is they will succeed at that opportunity. With that, I'll take any questions the press or others may have.
Governor,